Hi, ever wondered what's the fuss with this Pomodoro technique that people are talking about? You might know that it's about setting a timer and doing focused work, but do you know about all the benefits and the reason behind the technique? And do you actually know how to apply it? If not, then keep watching. Hi everyone, today's here from Lead Yourself. I'm helping you to lead your life towards more freedom and more happiness by providing insights and tips on how to improve your life when it comes to time, energy, and money. If you're new to this channel and that's something that interests you, then make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to hit that little bell too to stay notified when new videos are released. Once upon a time, or rather in the 1980s, there was a student named Francesco Cirillo who invented a technique called the Pomodoro Technique. It's a time management technique that can be used to counteract the increasing number of distractions that we have to deal with in modern life, and it's also great for beating procrastination when you feel stuck. Our increasingly connected environment and the increasing demands that we face causes it to be hard to stay focused on a single task. If you were to count all the times that you get interrupted during a typical day, you'd most likely be surprised. And I'm not only talking about other people interrupting you, I'm also talking about all those quick social media checks and things like that you might be doing yourself almost unknowingly. The Pomodoro technique helps you to resist those interruptions and will allow your brain to focus again. You will be setting a timer and doing short focus sessions that are called Pomodoros. In between, there are breaks where you are able to reset your attention and turn that laser focus back in the right direction. The technique is actually remarkably simple at its core, and that is one of its biggest strengths. And combined with the fun quirk that Pomodoro means tomato is most likely what has contributed to the popularity of the technique. Not to mention the fact that the technique has actually proven to work for so many people. This makes it kind of interesting to find out a bit more why it works so well. Only when you understand this can you make use of its full potential and tailor it to fit in with your life. Learn the rules before you break them, so to speak. The original rules are as follows. Get a timer and a list of things to do. Decide on the task to be done. Set a timer to 25 minutes and focus on working on that task. End work when the timer rings and record that Pomodoro as completed. Between each Pomodoro, you take a 3 to 5 minute break and regroup. But every 4 Pomodoros, you extend that break to a longer break of about 15 to 30 minutes. So, Pomodoro, short break, Pomodoro, short break, Pomodoro, short break, Pomodoro, long break, and repeat. One of the most important rules is that once a Pomodoro timer is set, it must ring. Should you get interrupted, you should record that interruption and restart the Pomodoro. Afterwards, you can work to figure out ways to prevent that thing from interrupting you again. Since the smallest amount of work in the Pomodoro technique is 1 Pomodoro, any task that's only a few minutes long should be grouped together with other short tasks. That in itself is a productivity booster right there. You can also maintain a list of small things to do when you have time left over. But one of the best things you can do is to use the time for reflecting over the latest tasks and planning ahead for the upcoming tasks. The sequence of 3 short breaks and then a longer break makes the Pomodoros naturally come in sets of 4. And there's a rule that you should break down larger projects in tasks that take no more than 4 Pomodoros. You may now be wondering what to do with the breaks. Well-used breaks include moving away from any screens, maybe going outside, having a glass of water, doing a quick exercise to keep moving, and anything else that refuels your body and brain with energy. I personally tend to skip breaks sometimes because the Pomodoro technique almost always ends up putting me in a state of flow, which if you haven't watched the video from the card above, I highly suggest you watch after this one. Anyway, when I feel like I have flow, I don't get tired and can go on seemingly forever, and the break will have to wait. Given that I'm a bit extreme when it comes to flow, I suggest you try and see what works best for you. Just don't get caught up in meaningless activities during the breaks. So what makes it all work? In order to understand this, we have to ask ourselves what's actually going on. What are we doing when we set the timer? Well, when we are setting the timer, we are telling ourselves that we are committing that time to focus on the task at hand. This is a powerful technique when feeling overwhelmed and finding it hard to get started. And that's exactly what happened to Francesco Cirillo during his studies. He ended up setting a goal to study for as little as 10 minutes straight at a time. This has since been refined to a sweet spot of 25 minutes. That doesn't mean it has to be 25 minutes. It can be anything up to about 90 minutes, which is a natural concentration cycle, and I encourage you to experiment what works best for you. If you have a job that requires you to be available from time to time, shorter intervals might be necessary. But if you have a task that is hard to pick up, you might want to work longer sessions. In any case, the smaller commitments help to get rid of excuses in our brain, and the threshold of working 25 minutes is far less than that of working 8 hours. It's a little bit like taking it one step at a time. A single step might seem that much easier to take than to walk up a tall hill, but step by step you will reach that goal. As such, the Pomodoro Technique is great at beating procrastination, as it's so easy to just get started. And once you started, it will be far easier to keep going. The intervals are also short enough to be accepted by a manager at work as a time when you will not be taking calls or responding to emails. Apart from that little psychology trick with short commitments, tracking the Pomodoros you do throughout your day and any possible interruptions helps you to become more aware of what happens with your time. And being aware is of course a prerequisite for being in control, so you will learn to manage your time better. It can also be kind of fun to challenge yourself with a number of completed Pomodoros per day and to try and improve your focus ratio. It's a little bit like competing with yourself, a little gamification for productivity, if you will. The Pomodoro Technique also works well in conjunction with other time management techniques such as time blocking, which I also have a video about that I suggest you watch if you haven't done so already. Now, one final thing you might wonder is, should you get one of all gazillion Pomodoro apps out there or simply just a physical timer? Even though these apps are very rich in features and guide you through the process, the creator of the technique and many others actually encourage using a physical timer and pen and paper. They suggest that the physical stimulation that you get from this has a higher impact in telling your brain that it's time to focus. I personally use an app as I haven't got around to buying a physical timer, and the app I use is called Focus To Do. It has a bit of project management features, a Pomodoro timer, and provides insights in the form of reports. What you use is up to you. Now, I hope you learned a thing or two, despite the Pomodoro technique being fairly known already. My biggest takeaways are how instantly you can get started with things, and I encourage you to try it if you haven't done so already. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the bell for more videos like this. Now, thanks for watching. I see you next week. Bye!